You can grow them in a container as long as it's big enough. I can go there, and now I can plant them. Now, when you plant them, it's easy. You just make a hole and stick them in. So we will just pop that in. When I've finished planting them all, I'll give them a good soak, and then I won't need to do anything for a few weeks until they start to grow, and then I need to tie them in. But we'll come back to them, and if you are growing them, we'll keep revisiting them, so hopefully we could all harvest glorious pumpkins together in early October. Still to come on today's programme. There's another chance to join Arit on a visit she made to Kent to talk to people whose physical and mental health have been transformed through gardening.
There's something about being sort of close to the plants really makes you feel sort of grounded and connected, and that's what this place does. It makes you feel connected.
But first, thank you for all the films that you sent us. We've had thousands, and we've loved seeing your gardens at home. And we've met some amazing people through it, but none more remarkable than Sue Kent, who sent us this film from her garden in Wales.
I'm Sue Kent, and I live in a house by the sea near Swansea. I was born with an upper limb disability caused by the drug thalidomide. This has made me highly adaptive and innovative all through my life, and including in my garden. What I love about my garden is when I wake up in the morning and I go outside first thing, there's nearly always something new, a new bud, a new flower, a new leaf uncurling, and it's so exciting. My garden entertains me. The garden to me is like a canvas. I try and design it, but then nature takes over and it has its own ideas. It's like my painting partner.
I've been developing my 3/4 of an acre plot, which wraps around the house over the last 30 years, getting a little bit of weekly help from a local gardener with weeding and pruning.
I'm a sports massage therapist in my daily life, and I use my feet to massage. And it's so nice when I get home to be able to use them for gardening. I really like to have that connection with the soil. Having a disability means there's some things I can't do in the garden, but I adapt and work around these things, and then I'm able to enjoy my garden. I just love it.
Finding the right tool for the job is terribly important. It makes all the difference to gardening independently. I can just use my toes and pick up the weeds and put them in the bucket. There's one drawback to reading with feet. They don't make foot gloves. And all I've got is these socks for protection.
I tend to put things on their sides and roll them around a bit and squidge their container with my feet. It should come out with some roots ready to plant. This is an F1 hybrid and it's prolific. It's an outdoor variety as long as the weather's good. And this is one of the sunniest places in the garden. It'll grow well up the trellis. And then I just backfill around it with my feet. And obviously I'll give it a bit of a water. My great-grandfather had the royal warrant to supply asparagus to the Prince of Wales. And when I was little, I spent many happy hours in the garden with my father, who was also passionate about plants. So it's not surprising I really love growing veg. So I don't have to bend too far, and I don't have to reach too far. So everything is hugely accessible, which gives me independence of gardening. I make my own compost. It's full of nutrients, and I find it better than just using shop-bought compost. So I put a pot inside the bucket,
And then I rest the sieve on top. And I pour in the compost. And I found it to be quite therapeutic in a strange way. And now I just hope Mr. Robin's going to come and pick out all the lovely worms that have appeared at the top of it. Isn't that fabulous? It's quite a greedy Robin. One of the first things I had to do was change the normal tools. I've got no thumbs, so gripping is difficult and I'm not very strong. So using standard tools isn't ideal. These are the ones that I have found the most useful for weeding. The notch allows the weeds to fall into that notch, and so when you lift it out, it brings the weeds out quite easily. Having a physical difference, whatever it is, can create barriers in the garden. But it's worth working around them because the rewards are so great and it brings such joy. I have such a can-do attitude because I look around me and there's so many things that I want to do, so I have to be able to do them. I just love life and I want to be able to fully partake in it.
Well, I'm sure you found that as inspirational and as impressive as I did. And Sue has made a lovely garden. Of course, the whole point of deadheading is to make it flower again. So it's important to do it. And if I don't use this, then I have to get up a ladder and do it, which I could easily do. But I like gadgets. Okay, I'll keep snipping away at this. But it is time to visit another one of your gardens. And this time we go to Liverpool. People often ask why you put cuttings around the edge of a pot. And it's partly do it because I've always done it, but it's supposed to be because they are less likely to dry out. Water this as well. Now, people are becoming increasingly aware of the relationship between health, particularly mental health, and gardening. So now seems a good time to have another look at the visit that Arit made last summer to the Blackthorn project in Maidstone in Kent, where gardening is prescribed by doctors as part of the road to recovery from mental and physical illness.
For a long time, I've truly believed that being out in green space is really good for us. It's something that we need as a natural therapy on a regular basis. But what is it about a garden or that outside space that is so healing? The theory of spending time in green spaces and prescribing gardening instead of pills is gaining momentum. I've come to the Blackthorn Trust garden in Kent. It's been set up to help those suffering from mental health issues and to help people manage chronic pain. Patients can be referred by a doctor when traditional approaches aren't working. Susanna Odlin is a therapy coordinator here. So you would come in, referred, and then what happens?
Most people are very depressed or have lost their confidence. Most people are in a very dark place when they arrive. So together we find out what they hope to gain from being here.
Alongside counselling and therapy, patients are encouraged to spend vital time in the garden with others.
We often socialise people first, and because we all need this sense of belonging, that's also part of a well-being. The garden can be a very safe and gentle place to start. Some of the people would say, I feel completely dead inside. So working in the garden enlivens the senses again. And the senses are really our gateway to the world.
Lisa has been coming here for nearly 2 years after a car accident left her with chronic back pain.
I was never really interested in flowers, plants or anything before my accident and before finding Blackthorn. Yeah. Now they're just wonderful, the beauty of them and the peace that it brings to me. I get lost in it.
What do you think you'd be doing if you wasn't at Blackthorn?
I'd probably be at home, laid flat with lots of medication and not really doing anything. But coming to Blackthorn, each part and each stage of the programme brought me back to life.
Vivian was prescribed the garden to address the effects of social isolation, while Mark's just been coming here for a few months. So Mark, what brought you to Blackthorn?
Well, I came here because I was disabled a couple of years ago. And I've been in constant pain and found the daily living was just about managing my pain and managing the anxieties and problems that come with it. And I came to Blackthorn and it's given me a bit of space for me so that I've got something I can look forward to. There's something about being sort of close to the plants. It really makes you feel sort of grounded and connected. And that's what this place does, it makes you feel connected.
And we take an interest in each other, you know, and their other people's problems, and it just sort of alleviates yours.
Do you think you'd get the same benefit if we were just sat down at a cafe having a chat?
No.
No.
Why is that?
I spend a lot of time in my head in pain. Being here, there's just something about it.
Gardening, there's only one way to say it, it's good for you.
It certainly is. Paul used to come here to treat his depression and social anxiety. So, do you think you know what it was specifically about the gardening that was helping your particular condition?
I was quite broken.
Right.
And I needed to come back together, so it felt like the gardening facilitated that.
Yeah.
Having that awareness that everything changes, everything's transient, definitely gave me a sense of hope for the future. I'm now a self-employed gardener.
Oh, really?
That's keeping me very busy.
That's brilliant. It just goes to show, doesn't it? You know, how things can just turn around with a bit of time and patience, like our lovely plants need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's clear that prescription gardening is working for the people here, and it's looking hopeful that green medicine could be offered to more people in the future. It's predicted that in the next 5 years, social prescribers working with the NHS will give out 900,000 appointments a year, which will include gardening. All of these stories are a compelling argument for how gardening can be a medicine. It can relax, it can rejuvenate, and it can help with social interaction. And all of those benefits are not only good for the body, but for the mind and spirit too.
I'm so glad that mental health is being talked about openly and seen as something that we have to deal with. It's central to life, and that gardening can be part of the solution. And long may that continue. I've been sitting listening to this blackbird for the last 5 minutes. And of course, we're now coming up to the summer solstice, the longest day, the peak of the year. And if ever there was a moment to sit in your garden and listen to the birds and take in the fragrance and the sights of the flowers, it's now. So enjoy and make the most of your midsummer gardens. And I'll see you back here at Longmeadow next Friday at the slightly earlier time of 7:30. So until then, bye-bye.
Potatoes, herbs and friendly pest control at Beechgrove at 9:30. And in a tough growing season, plenty of coping strategies on offer with the experts of Gardener's Question Time. To listen, just download the BBC Sounds app.
Chris does live in the most glorious part of the world, and I do know the weather is harsh. I remember someone saying to me that summer comes in the second week of July and leaves round about the 3rd. But it doesn't seem to have stopped Chris. He's growing lovely veg. Now, these are obviously broad beans. They're getting a little bit on the large side. I haven't been picking them as often as I should. And if I open these out, that's about as big as I like a broad bean to be. Any bigger than that, and they can get rather flowery. I think before these pods get any bigger, I'm going to have to pick the whole lot, prep them, and then freeze them. And that's a job I must get on with. But here are some other jobs that you can do this weekend.
Usually a huge event in the farming calendar, celebrating the best moments from the Royal Highland Show with Landwood in an hour. First on BBC Two, peace, beauty and one or two jobs to do in the garden.
Hello, welcome to Gardener's World. The sweet peas have had a really good spring and early summer. And they're my favourite fragrance of well into August. On today's programme, we explore Hestercombe, a garden of 100 acres in Somerset that has been managed over the last few months by just 2 gardeners. Cordon tomatoes. Well, we certainly had a lovely spring, which made life more bearable for all of us who had to spend much more time in our homes and gardens than we ever might have imagined. But it was really tough for those thousands of gardens right across the country that were just preparing to open their doors to the public, and then they had to lock down. And we went along to one of them, Hestercombe in Somerset, to find out how they coped with this situation and also what they had learnt from it.
What's unique about Hestercombe is we have 3 eras of garden design in one place. 50s, which is full of follies and waterfalls and ponds. It's really atmospheric. When you get to the end of that garden, you're then walking into the Edwardian Garden, which is really romantic. It's a collaboration between Edwin Lutyens and Gertrude Jekyll, and she basically overlaid all of his design with plants. I describe it like she throws a blanket of flowers over his hard landscaping. And then we have a Victorian terrace outside of the house. Ordinarily, there are 7 full-time gardeners within the team, including myself, and then we have about 30 garden volunteers. And, you know, you need that many people to keep an estate of this size going. We've got like 100 acres to cover. Lockdown, and all of a sudden the gates were closed. You know, there were no visitors, no one on site, and we had to make a lot of very quick decisions. It was decided that 2 of us could stay on working and all the rest of the gardens team would be furloughed. So the first couple of weeks when it was just Ben and I here, it was a bit overwhelming, and it was... The main priority for us was protecting the historic parts of the garden. So the Georgian, the Victorian and the Edwardian parts had to stay safe, if you like. These are delphiniums, and I just am really excited about everyone being able to come back at a time when the garden is just looking so amazing. From a personal point of view, My work changed quite a lot because as a head gardener, you're often spend a lot more time running a team, running the volunteers, making sure everyone else is doing stuff and everything's going all right. In a way, it's just rekindled the whole sort of passion for gardening, having my hands in the soil. I know now that it keeps me sane. I know how much it means to me. And I'm just really looking forward to being able to share that enthusiasm with everybody when they come back. And I'm really looking forward to the volunteers because they become like a family to you as much as anything else. So it'll be lovely to have them back, if nothing else, to get the weeding done. Plants keep going, nature keeps going, and so long as we're tending to it as much as we can, it will still always be a beautiful place.
I've been to Hestercombe 3 or 4 times, and every time I go there, I find something new that is beautiful and inspiring. And it is now opened. It opened a couple of days ago. It is limited. You have to buy your tickets in advance. And if you go to our website, you'll get all the details on how you do that.